Say what you like about marriage, but generally most people in civilised societies accept marriage as a voluntary agreement entered into by two people. And yes, don't worry, I haven't forgot about the oppressed. I understand that currently in this country, you can only enter into that agreement if the couple involved are comprised of one man and one woman. But that's a discussion for another day. I'd rather talk about the more serious problem of people entering into marriage involuntarily.
This child is just 14 years old and is about to be married to a man 20 years her senior. In a tiny room hidden at the back of a suburban mosque, this shy teenager, dressed in a light blue headscarf, sits anxiously. She's known the man she's about to marry for just a few days.
Same here.
The groom is paid for the underage girl, handing over a $1,480 gold necklace in exchange for his bride. While the girl's mother watches on, she's given her full blessing.
Mohammed Shakir, will you take to be your wife to live together according to Islam? Will you take Mohammed Shakir to be your husband to live together according to Islam?
Yes. It's over within minutes. The deal and arranged marriage done right under the Australian flag.
As a wife, you have a duty to obey your husband.
It is deeply disturbing to think of little girls pre-puberty being considered for marriage and for people to be organising that marriage.
Secret government documents obtained by 7 News reveal how common these illegal ceremonies have become. Between December 30, 2014 and January 31, 2017, FACS received 60 reports relating to 57 children. Of those, 34 children were aged between 16 and 17, 12 were aged between 14 and 15, 7 10 to 13 years old, and incredibly, 4 children were under the age of 10.
In the last 2 years, the Child Welfare Agency has identified another 250 cases of underage marriage across Australia. Incredibly, it wasn't criminalised until 2013, which means police can't turn back the clock and prosecute before then.
The long-term impacts of people being forced into marriage can be quite serious, including forced or unwanted pregnancies, withdrawal from education.
This secret video was found on the groom's phone by police. Both he and the imam have been charged over the illegal wedding.
Now, there's a number of disturbing things in that video. Obviously, a 14-year-old being married off in a back room with the full complicity of her mother in exchange for a necklace worth $1,500 to a man that she's known for a few days is the biggest issue. But how about the fact that it wasn't even criminalised in Australia until 2013? Now, I'm going to speculate that's because it didn't need to be criminalised, because that's not part of Australian culture, or at least it didn't used to be. And I think there's no better example of a failure of the cultural relativist version of multiculturalism. Now, a few people commented last week on my video about the segregation of a public pool in Auburn because of the privacy concerns of Muslim women as a non-issue, a small concession to make. And no doubt when compared to the problem of child brides, it is a relatively minor issue. But granting small accommodations like that gives people the impression that Australia is a place that doesn't have any values, and that you can import whatever values you like and they'll be accepted. Now, of course, all the people involved in this backroom dealing must be aware of the illegality of what they're doing here, with the probable exception of the young girl, of course. But what makes them think that they can do it? To say that it's because they're Muslims is not a sufficient answer. It also has to be a failure to encourage Australian values and integration into the broader Australian community. If we have people that think their religious or cultural values take precedence over Australian law, then yes, religious ideology is part of it, but also the tacit approval of the attitude that all cultures are equal, and anything other than that attitude is somehow bigoted. Now, this clip appeared on 7 News last night, May 22nd, but the case was in the papers last week, and I want to draw your attention to the last paragraph of the story in The Australian. During a recorded interview played in the Melbourne Magistrates Court yesterday, Mr. O'Murdoch tells police, Mr. O'Murdoch is the imam that performed the ceremony, the husband had approached him saying, "There is a girl, I love her, I have to be with her." Now think about what it takes to have such a primitive attitude. We all see people and think to ourselves, gee, I'd like to talk to her or get to know him, but we don't feel an entitlement to literally possess those people, to treat them like chattel to be bartered for with a gold necklace. Feminists like to talk about male entitlement. Well, where are they on this form of entitlement? That's right. Ross Cameron put it well on Paul Murray Live last night.
I think what is the takeout? You know, what do we learn from this? For me, this is in a category of crime which needs to be understood differently, because none of the people engaged in the room actually believe they are doing something wrong. They believe, and that is attested to by the fact that the person presiding over the event is a religious authority figure who is giving his blessing to this activity. And this is one of the challenges in dealing with child marriage, female genital mutilation and multiple plural marriages, that, arguably this is a natural feature of multiculturalism. And I think the problem you have then is from a question of response to this thing. You talk about the ABC, how they will respond. You know, if we go to what I think of as sort of suburban capital city feminism, you won't hear outrage from Ann Summers, from Julia Gillard, from Jane Caro, from Julia Baird. You will hear silence, because the feeling is that this kind of, that feminism does not go to a female if she belongs to this certain category who doesn't get the benefit of. Now, if this child had been excluded from a position in an ASX-listed company boardroom, you would get masses of outrage, but because she is of a different culture, a different religion, she is seemingly doesn't qualify as a person of concern to Western University suburban ABC feminism.
And how widespread is the problem? The Australian Federal Police said the number of cases being investigated doubled to 69 last year. But is that because they're becoming more prevalent, or because they're getting better at finding them? What's the real scope of the problem? If these arrangements are not legally registered and kept hidden, do we know about 90% of the problem, or just 10%? Who knows? But what we do know is if this story had been on an episode of Four Corners on the ABC, Malcolm Turnbull would have announced a royal commission by now. But no, we live in the age of identity politics. As Mark Latham said in his article in The Telegraph today, we need to understand this basic truth. In their embrace of identity politics, Labor and the Greens no longer support the original ideals of multiculturalism. The two concepts are incompatible. You can't support the segregation of people at one extreme, yet still hope to maintain a national policy of mixed, integrated cultures. Exactly. So if Malcolm Turnbull calls a royal commission into the treatment of juveniles in detention, should he show some consistency and call one into the forced marriages of minors? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. See you next time.